Usman Khawaja has finally announced his retirement from Test cricket. And when I say finally, it's not because I feel he's necessarily over the hill, but because it felt like this was coming for a while. There had been murmurs about it throughout the Ashes. And when it was announced that he'd be addressing a press conference ahead of the Sydney Test, everyone pretty much knew that the writing was on the wall. And so Khawaja gets to retire as someone who was not only one of Australia's better batters in this era, but also a trailblazer in his own right, given he's the first player of Asian origin as well as the first Muslim to have ever represented Australia in international cricket. And he's done so in all formats. Of course, being a first meant that there were some uncomfortable truths that he had to deal with. And it is something he touched upon in great detail during his final press conference. The uncomfortableness, the sometimes feeling of being othered due to his race and due to, of course, his religion. This is what he had to say when speaking about what he perceived as different treatment from the Aussie media. He said that, look, I had back spasms during this series, which I couldn't control. But the way the media attacked me, I could have copped it for 2 days, but I copped it for 5 days straight. And this is pretty much a reality that a lot of players have had to deal with, is that if there's a feeling that comes that you're not putting in enough effort, then you do get a little bit of stick. But Khawaja may be not entirely wrong when saying that he got way more stick than anyone imagined, because the accusations were that he's lazy or he's trying to get out of things and he's faking an injury. He wasn't. It was later confirmed that he did in fact have back spasms. But as he points out, this is something that others haven't necessarily been treated the same way. And this is what he had to say. He said that, look, you guys had a crack at me for missing a game, yet plenty of my teammates who are not playing, you didn't say a word to them. Again, what he's saying isn't entirely wrong, because we have seen a lot of Aussie players miss out on games or actually end up getting injured due to rather strange reasons, who don't kind of cop the same treatment that an Usman Khawaja does. And him calling it out here is great, because again, it is a good way of showing the mirror to those who are subtly, unknowingly or otherwise portraying or propagating racist stereotypes against people of color, saying that, oh, they're lazy, they don't want to put in the work. It's not a good stereotype to be putting out there, and I'm glad that Khawaja called it out. In fact, he went one step further when he said that, look, I just want the journey for the next Usman Khawaja to be different. I want you to treat him or her all the same and not have racial stereotypes. He definitely went there. It's one thing to be skirting around it clearly, but he really directly pointed out that, look, I feel I have been the victim of racial stereotyping, and I want that whoever comes after me, you don't treat him exactly the same way, which is, again, very great message from a player who has never really been afraid to speak his mind, even if it sometimes gets him in trouble. In fact, he also attacked and directly pointed out that the media have at times tried to gaslight him. This is what he had to say. He said that, look, I know I'm up here talking about topics and people are like, okay, Uzi's here, he's playing the race card again, but don't gaslight me. And it's important he mentions this, because at times it's a very easy way to dismiss anyone talking about real world issues by saying, oh, they're virtue signaling or they're playing this card or that card and they just need to get on with it. It's not that difficult. Not true. It's one thing to be a player who's representing Australia, who is openly Muslim and has Pakistani roots. Remember, he comes originally from Islamabad. It's quite the other to also just take that treatment lying down because, oh, look, you are a public figure. That's not really right, because what it does, it has greater long-term consequences for people who are of, whether it be of Usman's country origin or people from the subcontinent or anyone else who isn't quite fitting in to a certain predefined stereotype of what it is to be Australian. And I'm glad that Khawaja pointed that out ahead of his final test. Look, if anyone else were in his position, they could have very easily just taken the plaudits, just gone with the flow, said, no, I'm grateful for the career I had. But he chose not to do that and chose to spotlight some very tough things that he's had to go through his career and said, look, I've been there. You guys did this to me. Don't gaslight me. Just don't do it to the next generation. Great message. And no matter what it is that he does in his final test, it's immaterial. He retires an Ashes winner and one of Australia's better batters in this particular generation. But what were your thoughts on Khawaja's multiple attacks on the Aussie media? And do you think he was justified? Let us know so in the comments below. And don't forget, as always, to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook. And stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.